Tim, we heard it from the nephew there, Brandon Williams, who said, this is not just for us, that this is what he heard on the phone when he was on FaceTime with Breonna Taylor's mother, who said, I want to congratulate you. And he says, really, this is not just for us. This is really for America. So, Tim, talk to me about your reaction and thoughts to these federal charges, which include willfully depriving George Floyd the right to be free from unreasonable force by a police officer. Two of the officers also charged in connection with their failure to intervene in Chauvin's use of reasonable force, and then all four were charged with failing to give Floyd medical aid. How much of a groundbreaking set of charges is this from your viewpoint?
This is exactly what I've been talking about. First of all, let me acknowledge and give thanks to the fact that since our former AG Jeff Sessions shut down these type of Justice Department interventions, we haven't seen this type of reaction from the Justice Department. So the Floyd family is correct that this is a rebirth. This is now an opportunity for us to have the Justice Department review these type of police brutalities. I'm ecstatic about it. I think back in my own experience of being abused at the hands of the police department, and there was no Justice Department review. This is a good day. This is a new dawn. And to the charges that the Justice Department brought, they're spot on. This is exactly what I've been arguing before I decided to run for Congress, that the ideal situation would be if a police officer sees another police officer abusing one's rights, assaulting someone, when the situation is calm and you have whatever they were dealing with addressed, that officer should turn to the person who is breaking the law in front of him and say, you are under arrest. And I've said this a million times. If they fail to do it, then they are a conspirator to the crime, or aiding and abetting at the very least. And here the Justice Department just proved that very point with the indictment for failure to intervene. That's exactly what we want to see happen.
Intervening and checking each other. We heard Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee say, while she is stepping out of her boundaries, while she's not going to influence the Department of Justice. She did say, however, that she would hope that this would be impetus for the Department of Justice to revisit cases like Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, asking for reconsideration. To what extent do you believe that might happen, and what kind of potential difference might it make, in your view, if the Department of Justice does do that?
We know that there's no statute of limitation on murder. So they certainly can go back and review those cases to see if they should bring appropriate charges. Now, we're not talking about the actual murder of those individuals, but the violation of those rights within the statute. And that's the only consideration that this should give, is has the statute expire for what they can bring as far as charges. And I think that they should be extremely expansive. And even, by the way, let me just say this, that even if they can't come with charges, they certainly could still do a review and issue a report on the Justice Department's their response to their review, and explain why they can't bring charges, but at least identify that, yes, we acknowledge that this was wrong, this was potentially criminal, but for the statute of limitations, we can't do anything. But nevertheless, we are now going to issue a review of the overall department actions based on what we found here. That certainly must, it's not should it happen, it must happen in order for us to start healing our country.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Tim Alexander, Omar Jimenez, appreciate you both.